My friends, everything around Christian Gonzalez just became a lot more complicated for the New England Patriots, and honestly, this is the type of situation that can quietly shape the future of the franchise for years if the front office does not handle it correctly. Because while Patriots fans have spent the offseason talking about Drake Maye, Mike Vrabel, and all the new energy around this roster, there is another massive storyline building behind the scenes, and now it is starting to feel very real. Christian Gonzalez is eligible for a long-term extension, and everybody inside the organization understands how important that is. The Patriots already exercised his fifth-year option, but that was never supposed to be the final step. The expectation from the beginning was always that New England would eventually lock him up with a monster contract and make him one of the faces of the franchise moving forward. The problem is that another young superstar cornerback may now be directly impacting those negotiations. According to ESPN Seahawks reporter Brady Henderson, Seattle and Devin Witherspoon are currently far apart on a contract extension. At first glance, that may not sound like Patriots news at all, but once you dig deeper, you realize why this suddenly matters so much in Foxborough. Both players are elite young cornerbacks. Both are extension eligible. Both are viewed as future defensive superstars. And most importantly, both are represented by the same agency. That changes everything, because now this is not just about one player negotiating against one team anymore. This becomes a waiting game. A strategic battle. One side trying to reset the market before the other. One contract influencing the next contract. And when two elite corners are represented by the same people, every number matters. The report explained that some league circles believe the slow progress between Seattle and Witherspoon could actually be connected to Christian Gonzalez and the Patriots trying to negotiate their own extension. In other words, there is a real possibility both situations are tied together behind the scenes. And honestly, from the Patriots' perspective, that has to be frustrating, because if one player signs first, the other immediately gains leverage. If Witherspoon lands a record-breaking deal, Gonzalez can point directly to it and say he deserves even more. If Gonzalez signs first, then Witherspoon's side can do the exact same thing. It becomes a chain reaction where nobody wants to blink first. But here is why Patriots fans should pay close attention to this situation. Christian Gonzalez has every reason to believe he deserves to become the highest paid cornerback in football. When you compare the numbers between him and Devin Witherspoon from last season, Gonzalez absolutely has a case. The tackling numbers were close. The pass breakup numbers favored Gonzalez. But the biggest difference came in coverage efficiency. Gonzalez allowed a completion percentage of just 43.4 when targeted, while Witherspoon allowed 76.9. The quarterback rating against Gonzalez was only 57 compared to 106 against Witherspoon. Those are not small differences. Those are massive differences for two players competing to become the top paid corner in the NFL. And then the playoffs happened. That is where Christian Gonzalez elevated himself even further. 6 pass breakups in the postseason. Opposing quarterbacks completed only 36.1% of passes thrown his direction. The quarterback rating against him dropped all the way down to 38.3. Those are shutdown numbers. True superstar numbers. That is why many Patriots fans already believe he is the best cornerback in football right now. The interesting part is that this does not feel like a hostile situation yet. Neither player is holding out. Neither player has created drama publicly. Gonzalez has continued showing up to workouts and participating normally. Reports say Witherspoon has done the same in Seattle. That matters because in today's NFL, once contract disputes become ugly, players usually stop showing up. Christian Gonzalez has not done that. In fact, when voluntary workouts opened, he was reportedly one of the first players in the building. That says a lot about his mentality and also about how confident he probably feels that eventually the deal will happen. But now comes the difficult part for the Patriots front office. The market at cornerback keeps exploding. Earlier this offseason, Trent McDuffie reportedly reset the market with a massive 4-year deal worth $124 million after the Rams acquired him. That immediately changed the conversation for every elite young cornerback in the league, and now projections are climbing even higher. Bleacher Report projected Christian Gonzalez for a 4-year contract worth $125 million. But what made Patriots fans notice even more was the projection for Devin Witherspoon, because they projected him slightly higher at around $125.5 million. Only $500,000 more, but in negotiations like this, every dollar becomes symbolic, and you already know Patriots fans are debating it heavily because many people people believe Gonzalez has outperformed him and deserves to be above everybody else. The Patriots also have another major financial reality approaching fast. Drake Maye's future extension is sitting in the background of all this. If he develops into the superstar quarterback many believe he can become, New England is eventually going to have to hand him one of the biggest contracts in NFL history. The organization knows that. Christian Gonzalez's camp knows that too. So now the Patriots are balancing two timelines at once. Pay Gonzalez now before the market climbs even higher, or risk waiting and potentially watching another record-breaking contract raise the price even more. And honestly, that is why this story suddenly feels much bigger than people realized a few weeks ago. Because this is no longer just about whether Christian Gonzalez deserves an extension. Everybody already agrees he deserves one. The real question now is whether the Patriots are prepared to make him the highest paid cornerback in football before somebody else changes the market again. And if both sides keep waiting for the other contract to happen first, how long could this situation really drag on before somebody finally makes the first move? The scary part for the Patriots is that this entire situation could become even more expensive the longer it drags out, because once elite defensive backs start getting paid, the market usually moves fast. And right now, Christian Gonzalez has every possible argument working in his favor. He has the production, he has the postseason performances, he has the age, and maybe most importantly, he has already proven he can handle being the #1 corner against top NFL receivers every single week. That is why many people around the league are beginning to look at him differently now. Early in his career, there were still questions about whether he could eventually become an elite shutdown corner. After last season, those questions basically disappeared. Teams stopped challenging him consistently because quarterbacks simply were not finding success targeting his side of the field. And that is exactly why the Patriots cannot afford to let this become messy. Because if you think about the identity Mike Vrabel is trying to build in New England, Christian Gonzalez fits it perfectly. Tough, disciplined, competitive, quietly confident, a player who shows up, works, and produces without needing constant attention. Those are the exact types of players organizations usually prioritize building around. The encouraging part for Patriots fans is that Gonzalez himself does not appear distracted at all by the contract conversations. Everything coming out of offseason workouts suggests he is fully locked in. No drama, no cryptic messages, no absence from team activities. He has continued preparing like a player who fully expects to be on this team for a very long time. And honestly, that mentality probably helps his leverage even more, because from the outside, he is doing everything correctly. He is not giving the Patriots any reason to question his professionalism. He is simply letting his performance speak for itself, while the business side continues in the background. But the business side is where things become complicated. The Patriots historically have never loved handing out massive contracts unless they absolutely believe the player is worth it long term. Fans know this organization has often been careful with money even when elite talent was involved. And now they are staring at a situation where Christian Gonzalez could realistically push past every previous cornerback contract in NFL history. That number sounds huge now, but the fear is that it may look even bigger later if another player signs first. Imagine if Devin Witherspoon lands a deal before Gonzalez. Immediately, the entire negotiation changes. Gonzalez's side can walk into discussions and point directly at the contract while arguing that his playoff production, coverage numbers, and consistency justify an even larger deal. The Patriots know that risk exists. That is why this entire standoff between Seattle and Witherspoon suddenly became such important news in New England. Because whether fans realize it or not, the two situations are connected. And then there is another layer that makes this fascinating. Both players know exactly what the other is doing because of the shared representation. That means there is likely constant communication happening behind the scenes about numbers, guarantees, yearly averages, and structure. Nobody wants to sign the smaller deal first. Nobody wants to become the player who accidentally helped the other guy earn more money afterward. That is why patience becomes part of the strategy. At the same time, though, there is danger in waiting too long. The Patriots may feel pressure to finalize something before another elite defensive contract resets the market yet again. Every season, the NFL salary cap keeps climbing, and every major extension usually pushes salaries to new levels. And if Christian Gonzalez has another dominant season, his price may become even harder to control, especially if the Patriots return to playoff contention. That is what makes this upcoming season so massive for everybody involved. Because right now, Gonzalez is already viewed as elite, but another year of elite production under Mike Vrabel's defense could elevate him into an entirely different category nationally. A category where the Patriots no longer have any negotiating advantage whatsoever. And fans are already starting to notice something important. The confidence around this roster feels different. The organization believes Drake Maye can become the future at quarterback. The defense still has cornerstone talent, and Christian Gonzalez is one of the biggest pieces of that foundation. You do not let players like that walk away, especially not when they are entering their prime. That is why many Patriots fans are hoping the front office moves aggressively instead of cautiously. Because if the Patriots truly believe Gonzalez is the best cornerback in football, then eventually they are going to have to pay him like it. And honestly, the longer you watch this situation unfold, the more it feels like the Patriots are approaching one of the biggest financial decisions of their new era, a decision that could define how this roster is built around Drake Maye moving forward. Because eventually somebody is going to break this contract standoff first. The only question is whether it will be Seattle with Devin Witherspoon or New England finally making Christian Gonzalez the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. One thing that Patriots fans should not ignore in all of this is how quickly Christian Gonzalez has become one of the true leaders of this defense without ever needing to be the loudest voice in the room. Usually when young players enter the league, especially at cornerback, there is a long adjustment period. Receivers test them constantly. Quarterbacks hunt mismatches. Offensive coordinators attack weaknesses every single week. But Gonzalez has already moved beyond that stage. Teams now prepare for him differently. That is the clearest sign a cornerback has officially arrived in the NFL. When offenses begin avoiding your side of the field, it changes the entire structure of a defense. Suddenly, the coaching staff has more freedom. Safeties can help elsewhere. Blitz packages become more dangerous. Defensive coordinators can become more aggressive because they trust one side of the secondary completely. And that trust is incredibly difficult to find in this league. That is why the Patriots internally probably already understand they are not just negotiating with a good player anymore. They are negotiating with a foundational piece. A player who can define the identity of their defense for the next 5 to 7 years if everything goes according to plan. But there is another important detail here that keeps making this story even more interesting. Christian Gonzalez does not seem interested in